right, let's kick off this Thursday morning with another episode of Seeds of Music. I'm your host, Kyle Williams, and this is the #1 web show and podcast where aspiring independent artists and do-it-yourself musicians can learn right now how to gain wider exposure, grow a strong base of raving fans, and make a living doing what they love. So, quick announcement: we have the podcast, which is the only audio from the show. So it's an audio-only version of the show. It's a podcast on iTunes. So make sure you head over to the iTunes, search for Seeds of Music Rise Above the Noise, and subscribe to the podcast. You'll get all the episodes automatically downloaded, and please leave a rating and review on the show, because if you do that, it will help the show rank higher within the iTunes Store music section for the podcast, and will help us get more viewers, and I'll also be able to get bigger and better interviews onto the show. Okay, so now for this week's episode, we have on the show Ari Herstand. Now, Ari he's a musician and an independent artist. He makes the majority of his income from music-based sources, so it's no BS. I mean, this is something that he is doing right now, and he's been doing quite some time. He wrote an awesome article called "Carry Your Instrument on the Plane. It's the Law." It's gotten over 40,000 likes. The article basically explains how there's been a law that was lobbied to Congress by the American Federation of Musicians to have you, basically it's a law that you can carry your instrument on the plane. So definitely recommend you check out that article. Just search it on Google. And another thing about Ari, just to give you a little example about how much he's played over 550 shows. And what we're going to do in this interview is we're going to talk about 3 simple steps to making a living as a do-it-yourself musician. And for Ari, he's opened for Ben Folds, Cake, Matt Nathanson, and Ron Pope, and has his music featured on a lot of television as well. And this guy's never, signed any kind of major label deal. Not to say that he doesn't have people working for him, but he is just like a shining example of how the do-it-yourself musician model can actually work for you. So he also ran a Kickstarter campaign where he raised over $13,000 to fund his record. So just really awesome guy to talk with, and I'm excited to go over these few points with him. And so just listen, take notes, because this is going to be a really fun episode. So now I'm going to stop talking and let's jump right in. All right, we have on the show today Ari Herstand. Thanks for coming on the show, man. You have some baller experience as a do-it-yourself musician. I'm very excited to have you on.
Great, thanks for having me. Baller experience, I like that. It's never been referred to it in that way, so that's great. I feel extra baller right now.
Nice. We'll put it as a testimonial on your page. I'll have my face.
Fantastic, right?
Like, Ari Herstand, baller. So I just want to jump straight into these 3 simple steps to making a living as a do-it-yourself musician. And I know that we had talked beforehand about this, and you said that the first one is you being a supportive member of your local community. I mean, why exactly is that so important?
Yeah, I mean, that's the main point that I try to articulate to any musician. I mean, be it if they're beginning or very experienced, is it's not a competition. And you really want to, be a supportive member of your local music community, because that's where you start. Every musician starts in their own local scene. And, there are some internet artists that have found that kind of fame, but they're anomalies. And really, if you want to, carve out a sustainable career, you really want to start with your local scene and cut your chops locally. I mean, if you ever want to be a performing artist, you have to perform out. And so what I like to say when you want to be a supportive member of the community, go out often, see other shows in your local town, show your face at, other concerts and meet all the other musicians. And, your fans will start to see your positive presence at other shows around town and think, oh, that's cool that this, this musician is going there. So I think, and then those other artists will see you there, and they'll appreciate your presence there, and they'll come out to your shows then. And then you guys, that's how you kind of build up friendships, and you can organize shows together. And sometimes maybe one of them will get a little break and will help you out. And by just being kind of a positive force in your local scene, a lot of opportunities will start happening for you. I mean, I can draw lines from various shows that I attended and different people that I met
Yeah.
to, getting a song placed on a TV show, to be honest. And it's like, I would have never thought that, well, going out to this one
Yeah.
local show on a Wednesday night, band number 3, I really liked. So I went up and talked to the drummer, and then the drummer happened to be working for this licensing company. Had da 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 da.
Yeah.
I have a song on TV. It's like, you don't really expect that these kinds of things will happen, but you don't want to go out like selfishly. You also really want to go because it's important for you to understand what else is out there in your local scene. You want to you want to know what's out there, and want to know how to improve and really team up with the artists that you're connecting with. So I think and honestly, what especially beginning musicians don't really realize is that the local scene is very tightly knit. And when you're in it long enough, everyone seems to know each other, and like all the quote unquote gatekeepers or whatever of your local scene, of like the music reviewer and the radio DJ who plays local music, and the bloggers and all the staff writers for the papers that write music. They all know each other, and really there's like 5 people that kind of control the media in every local scene. And there are those people, and a lot of these people are going to be at these shows.
Yeah.
So, just being out there, they'll see you, and maybe you recognize them, and you can talk to them. And, really what it comes down to is the most opportunities you're going to get in your career are from your friends. And and friends and acquaintances. And so, just make more friends. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, make more friends. And I don't want this to come across as like, you're doing this selfishly, but really, I mean, you're
talking about having a positive attitude where you're going.
I mean, a very positive attitude.
Yeah, so it's not douchey at all,
Right. I mean, don't go out and be douchey, because then you'll be seen as the local douche.
What's the biggest douche move, though?
The biggest douche move? Well, I mean, there are a lot of little douche moves. I mean, I would say getting drunk at the show and like jumping on stage uninvited obnoxiously and grabbing the mic, that's pretty douchey.
Okay.
So you probably don't want to do that. Another douche move would probably be hitting on the lead singer's girlfriend. You probably don't want to do that, especially in the front row, right in front of them. Another and more practical douche move to avoid is if you do see a local reviewer or a local gatekeeper, if you will, don't go straight up to him or her and
check out my music,
and just like, hey, here's my CD. Oh my God, I can't believe it. You can go up to this reviewer or this critic or this gatekeeper or whatever you want to call this person, and I would go up with a compliment. I would introduce yourself and be like, hey, Stacy, I really like your review on such and such band. That was very cool. You were at that concert? Oh, me too. That's awesome. Blah, 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 blah. I'm Ari. I'm a musician also. Great to meet you. Peace.
Okay.
Move on. Yeah. And then, so that person doesn't feel like they're being used by you, because no one wants to feel used. So if you just introduce yourself, you're most likely going to see that person at other concerts. Then you can go up like, oh, hey, how you doing? And you start up a relationship that way. And then 6 months later, when you have an album ready to release, you can go back to Stacy and send her an email now that you've emailed back and forth a few times, you've seen her at concerts and whatever, and be like, Stacy, actually, I have my new album. I'd love for you to take a listen. And, if you want more information or we could, you want to write about it, boom. You could get a great featured review by doing that. So it's like planting seeds, but it's really just being a supportive member of your community.
Yeah, and it seems like you would, especially when you email her back, you kind of drop like a little note about, things you said or what you covered when you first met her, that she could just like trigger and remember. Oh yeah, that was the.
If you haven't spoken to her since that first interaction, which.
You probably should keep in touch.
You probably should keep that relationship up, but I think it will definitely happen more organically by seeing her at other concerts around town or whatnot. Or, I mean, you could, after you meet her, you could email a few days later, just say, hey, it was great to meet you, whatever, just to kind of keep it open.
Yeah. So what about diversifying income? This would be the next step here.
Sure.
Exactly. How do you go about diversifying income, and what are some of the first income sources that you want to hit up as a do-it-yourself musician?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and this is something that it took some time to figure out for myself,
Okay.
and it's constantly evolving. And so
So
the
it's like
thing,
individualized, do you think, between musician and
it's
musician? Or
absolutely individualized. And
okay.
so there isn't a list that I could give you of
Okay.
like, these are the 5 things that you need to be a successful musician, or
Yeah.
these are the 5 ways to make money as a successful musician,
Okay.
because every musician figures out what their own strengths and talents are
Okay.
that is unique to just them. And you can figure out how to bring in money doing those things. So
Okay.
I wrote a piece for Digital Music News where I interviewed 10 different very successful full-time musicians. And I mean, making very, very good livings. What I learned from this was all 10 of these musicians, they survived by diversifying their income
Yeah.
sources, but all with various different sources, basically. I mean,
Okay.
so for instance, as an example, if you want to, quit your day job and you want to, make money with music, you can't just narrowly focus on how am I going to be a rock star and let me move on that
Oh
trajectory.
yeah. Yeah.
Because the rock star trajectory, yeah, that's the sexiest one. But, it's not so
You
sexy working
teeny
at a
tiny
coffee
chance
shop.
like
Well,
this.
and it's not even that it's a tiny chance, yeah, but at the same time, it's just like, you're not going to get there by being very narrowly focused on that,
Yeah.
and because right, it's a very, very tiny chance, and it's basically if you're not bringing in income with your music career isn't going to last long enough where you even have a chance to get to that
Yeah.
status of that level of status. So really, like, finding ways to make money. I mean, I have friends who, they've done the cover band thing, the ones who teach lessons,
Yeah.
people who score music for television. I'm in LA, so that's a
Yeah.
big thing here,
Yeah.
scoring music for various movies and television, getting songs placed on TV shows. I've had a bunch of songs placed on TV shows, so I get
Yeah.
checks in the mail that come through from my PRO. And there are obviously gigging. Like, I make a lot of money, most of my musical income on the road touring.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have built up a fan base over the years, and so that's something that I'm able to do is like, tour and make money touring. And a lot of bands have a hard time figuring out how to make money initially touring, but that's the way to do it.
Do you think it's easier for you because you're do you tour with a band or is it just you?
It is just me and it's solo. But that being said, there are ways to, and yes, it is going to be much more difficult for bands to tour. But when you're on tour, there are ways to make a lot more money. And I think having a lot of attractive physical merchandise is incredibly important. And that is actually one of the things that I can give you a list,
Okay.
that list and
Okay,
say,
let's hear it.
absolutely have physical merchandise available on your website and at every show,
Hmm.
and get lots of options. Don't just have your latest CD for $10. Like,
Hmm.
have a T-shirt available, maybe have a poster or stickers or whatever. Just have a bunch of stuff, because then you can package them together. Because really, this is how you're going to sell the most amount of merch at your show.
Okay.
Um, is by, one, providing a really great experience for the attendees.
Yeah.
And once you've provided this incredible experience for all the attendees there, now they're amped, they're buzzed, they're all excited because you gave them this incredible experience. And so now they want to take this experience home with them somehow, or really get a souvenir from this experience.
Yeah.
So they're going to go up to you, they want to meet you, and they're willing to pay you lots of money to reward you for this incredible experience that you just bestowed upon them.
Yeah.
So have a lot of merch available to sell them, because they'll happily pay up. And sell T-shirts for $20. You can have a CD, you can have vinyl, I don't know, you can have thongs, you can have whatever, come up with mugs, you're gonna, like, creative
Stuffed
merchandise,
kangaroos.
whatever, just like
Where
give them something to buy.
yeah.
And
D-
and I would say the average person who comes to my merch table after the show spends about $20.
Okay.
And so you have to give them a way to spend $20. If you only
Yeah.
have a $10 CD, then they're only going to spend $10.
Yeah.
But I've had some people spend $50, and I've had some people spend $10.
Yeah.
So make sure that you have physical merch, because I think that's one of the best ways, especially on the road, to virtually double your income on the road.
And I have a quick question about that. Do you, after your show's done, do you get off stage and go behind the merch table?
Absolutely. Every show, no matter like where it is, big or small, I'm at the merch table. And I usually try to have someone there helping sell merch. That's like incredibly important, especially because if people want to leave in the middle of the show and they want to buy something, but they have to get up early tomorrow morning, so they can't wait till the end of the show, you want to have someone manning the merch table. So when they leave, they can pick up something on their way out.
Just kind of common business, business 101. Yeah,
absolutely. So, but I'm always over there after the show to meet everybody, because you want the meeting place to be where they can buy some stuff. So
because it's amping it up, the excitement, because they're excited about the show. You're sitting behind the merch table. They can communicate with you. That keeps that energy up.
And it's usually like they want, to sign things. So they'll come and buy something here, and then I'm right there for them to sign it. So it's like this little, the way the whole kind of like the system works. But it's, and so, I mean, that's, and you're going to get a lot more sales that way too. If you're there holding a Sharpie, waiting to sign stuff, you're like, oh, he's going to sign something. I don't have anything to sign. Sure. Let me buy a CD here. Sign this.
Yeah. Gotcha. It's like those little psychological triggers there. This last step here, I'm going to talk about social media, but you have something really like different to say about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think most bands realize the importance of social media, and it's been written about and talked about to death. You have to use social media to promote your music. Obviously, everyone does, and that's a given. Like, everyone knows how to use Facebook. But my biggest thing that I try to say is, don't solely rely on social media to promote your music. And too many bands get stuck behind their computers for all their promotion. And really what I what I try to point out is that humans exist in the physical world. We do. We're even though people are watching this on their computers right now or their iPhones or whatever, like, we exist in the physical world. So go out and exist with them in the physical world. And meaning, like, what does that mean? In touching on point number one, when you go out to the other band shows and whatnot, you can use those opportunities as promotional opportunities. So if you have a show coming up, the more that you go out, the more people you're going to talk to, and the more people that you'll be able to let them know about your show. So you can have physical flyers printed up in your back pocket. And when you go out to a concert and you're just chatting with somebody, come up, oh, I'm a musician too, whatever, cool. Oh, are you playing around town? Actually, yeah, I am. Here's shit, here's my flyer. I got my record release coming up right now.
All right, right on.
So yeah,
send me a scanned image of that.
I will. But I carry these now wherever I go, because I'm going to hand them out, because anyone I talk to, and you don't want to be spammy about it.
Yeah,
and
you don't be like, hey, what's your favorite color? You have some conversation, and you're like, oh, by the way, and then you sell them at the end.
I mean,
for later.
I mean, it's like, you want to start an organic conversation, and if it leads there, that's awesome. You can tell them about your show and give them a flyer. I mean, own it. It's because this is your thing, this is your passion, this is what you want to do, and people will generally appreciate that, and they will come. They will, if you give them a personal invite, like face to face, and they will feel much more compelled to go to this concert, and especially if you see them in the physical world before the show, and you let them know about your show, even if you don't have a flyer. Then, like, the day of or a day before, you can text them, and it won't seem completely out of the blue. It's not like one of those mass texts, or you can send them an email or a Facebook message, and it'll be like, oh yeah, he did mention this show to me. I really should go check it out. So you get reminded a couple different ways. And also, like, I'm still a believer in posters, and I don't think bands utilize the physical poster as much anymore as they should, because it's so easy to just put up a Facebook event or whatever. But because of that, I feel like there are fewer posters out these days, and if you actually print up some good-looking, nice posters, and you can put them around town or get businesses, coffee shops or pizza joints, whatever, to put them in their windows. The people that are walking around will see that. And one, it legitimizes the show. If you have actual promotional material printed up, good looking, like legitimizes, like, oh, this is an actual event. Like, this is a show, and this musician cares about the show enough to print up flyers and posters, and wow, they're investing money into this show. I should pay attention. So, just having a poster up says that, anyone can type out a Facebook message or
create a
put up an event
or
create a Facebook event. But by like actually getting a poster up in that establishment, there's like 5 different steps that need to go into that process. And they know that only the serious ones for a serious show are going to do that. So yeah, I think that's a huge thing. It's like posters, flyers, going out and meeting people in the world. Those are huge things. And in addition to, Facebooking and tweeting and Snapchatting or whatever you want to do, Instagramming. But, those things are a given. What people don't realize is that the physical world is important, and you should really pay attention.
I think some artists, they do it, backwards from social media before they do the groundwork. Before they build like their local fan base, they're already on social media trying to hustle on a global scale. But I think that you have to, and this is not every artist, but I've seen some artists that they do.
No, absolutely. I mean, because they have the big picture in mind, which is great, but they don't know how to reach that big picture. So they think, well, if I can just get, 5,000 people from around the world to love this album, I'll be doing okay. But what they don't realize is like, okay,
you need to get 10 people to
Well, you need to start small, and then you can start branching out. And, the beauty of the internet and the digital world that we're in now is that you can potentially, theoretically, reach anyone in the entire world for the most part. But, the downside is so can everybody else. So, what is going to set you apart? I mean, the way that you're going to get press and that you're going to get people to pay attention is if you're a star in your local community. If you're bringing 1,000 people out to your shows locally, but sure, you can't tour anywhere else and no one else knows about you anywhere else, you can still get a shit ton of press in your local community or even anywhere else. I mean, that's a story that anyone would want to write about. Oh, they can bring out 1,000 people? Wow, they must be doing something right. Let me write about that. And then, you start getting blogs to write about you or other kinds of press. And then other people will be like, all right, let me see what this is. I'll go to YouTube, I'll go to Spotify, whatever, and I'll check them out.
Yeah. It's like it's kind of like I hate to throw this business term out there. It sounds too businessy, but it's like market validation. In this case, it's just validating that your music is crafted to the point, what has the craftsmanship level that it brings fans in. That people enjoy it, that it's good enough. So
right. I mean, it's any validation from any trusted source is hugely important. And I mean, that's like, when any musician tweets out, listen to my friend or check out my new, my buddy's new album on iTunes, like that immediately validates that other artist. And it's the same way that when an artist goes on tour with the headliner and all the fans go to see the headliner, but they brought this artist as the opener, that basically is the headliner validating this opening artist that, hey, this is someone that I like, you should pay attention to. And that's why they win over so many friends that way. It's that same kind of concept, but just on a social media level when they tweet it or they post about it or something like that.
Yeah. So this is like a great point to make about that, because I think like once again, most like independent artists, they go because they have this big grandiose. Let's say they have this big grandiose idea of they're playing for thousands and thousands of people. Well, you have to have that vision, okay, but you have to start with the basics, and the basics is getting 5-10 people to pay money to come see you at a show. Because what that says is that they like you enough, and even if you know them as a friend, but if you get some that is like a friend of a friend who heard of you and then paid money to come see you, that shows. I think that shows a lot. And I think
absolutely. Yeah. And no, for sure. And I mean, it's the friend of a friend, if they like you enough, they'll come to your next concert and they'll bring some more friends. And that's just like the friend of friend snowball effect. Yeah. So, it's, absolutely.
Right on. So, Ari, a little bit about yourself. Before you, I actually read this off your bio, you used to, work at Starbucks, and then there came this day where you were so happy because you realized you were only scheduled one day, but you were making all your bills. Like, how did you get through that initial period where you were, working this job and then juggling the do-it-yourself musician side of it?
It was it just kind of it wasn't a day that like a switch came on and the money started flowing. It was kind of like a very slow grow.
Realization. Yeah.
Yeah, and the income kept, increasing, and I started figuring out more ways that I could make money playing music.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of right at that point when I was able to quit Starbucks and was just like, oh, I'm actually making money playing music.
Peace
I didn't
out.
realize. Right.
Yeah.
Peace, I'm out of here.
Peace, I'm out of here.
Guys.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a yeah, that was a great day though. Where I was able to quit Starbucks, and that was that was 6 years ago. So it was but yeah, and it's that was the last like formal day job that I've had, but it's definitely it's very up and down as any kind of music career and any kind of I guess entrepreneur career, small business.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, like, what I realized, but it was great because honestly, quitting the day job, it then forced me to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And I think too many musicians, need that safety net of the day job where they just are too afraid to quit because they won't know how to pay their bills. But it was the best thing that I did because it forced me to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, and I'm just like, all right, I'm only going to play music. And I mean, yeah, some people it's more difficult and some people don't figure it out and they go back to the day job and that's fine.
Some people have kids and, they're...
Well, right. Like, I mean, whatever circumstance, like I was lucky that I was, 22 at the time. So I'm just like, all right, here we go, or whatever.
You're okay with the ramen.
Yeah.
Ramen
diet. And rice and beans for a few months or...
I still eat peanut butter jelly.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like I don't want to advise, I don't want to tell every musician just quit your day job and it'll work out. Like you have to have a plan, and you have to be at least on track where you're making. You have to have a baseline, at least a little bit of money that you're bringing in with your music. But yeah, it was great. I mean, it was. And then ever since then, I've made it work. But it's the thing that I've constantly been discovering, and I'm still discovering this is that it's like I said, diversifying the income. Like I don't just make my money from one source. Like it's not just live shows, and it's not just T-shirts, and it's not just iTunes or Spotify or TV shows, or it's everything. And some months I make a lot more, and some months I make a lot less. But it's just constantly finding ways and smarter ways to tour and smarter ways to promote and everything like that.
And we can find all of this information on your website, Ari's Take.
Well, aristake.com is my blog. That's the music business advice blog. So definitely check out aristake.com. And then my music website is ariherstand.com. And that's everything for my own music. I like my new record that's coming out. Everything will be there.
Flash it one more time. Let's see it.
Boom.
Boom. I was going to do the boom sound effect too. I think I just blew out someone's ear. Okay. Where did you get that picture shot at?
So this photo, this is the album cover, and more or less, and we went to the desert for this shoot.
Oh, sweet.
And but this is the Minneapolis skyline.
Okay.
That we kind of superimposed.
And you're clean shaven a little bit. I mean, semi.
I got some scruff there.
Scruff.
There's some scruff.
Because for a second I was like, "Is that Orlando Bloom?" I don't know. Sorry. Sorry.
This is just laziness right now. But this is not a conscious. I'm growing a beard effort. This is. It's actually getting kind of itchy. I'll probably trim this a little bit today.
Yeah.
But
me too, man. I'm getting a little stubble, but I can't actually grow a full beard. It doesn't grow here. It's really embarrassing.
Yeah, my brother's the same way. I got the beard genes, and I don't know why they skipped him, but yeah.
I was not deserving of the beard god. But so I got one last question here.
Sure.
It's a little fun question. What's your favorite album, and what would your life be like if it never existed?
Whoa,
Boom.
whoa.
You have 30 seconds.
Right. Well, you just throw this at me. I gotta, man. My
Okay,
favorite album.
think
This
something
changes
that
like every
influenced
year.
you. Well, think
What's that?
about okay. Let's talk about the most influential
So like,
album.
yeah, I would say maybe the earliest ones, because yeah.
What started you down this whole path? The
There
path
you
of
go.
art.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because I got favorite records that every other month.
Yeah, right
But
on.
all right, I would say probably the Dave Matthews Band, Under the Table and Dreaming is one of like those seminal records that really turned everything on its head for me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
listened to that record so many times, and it was something that was just they were doing to music that I'd never heard done to music before, and it was blowing my mind. And it was all within like a pop format with like hooks, but also with sax solos. And I'm a trumpet player, and so I immediately was gravitated towards the sax
yeah,
and to those, and then you had violin in there, and I
yeah.
played in orchestra a lot, and it was just like something just so intricate. And I was also a drummer early on, and so like I loved the drumming on that because
Yeah,
it
that
was
drummer is
also
awesome.
very intricate. And so, you know, they were my favorite band, like all through high school, and I went and saw them a zillion times live. And but that record, if we're going to a record like that record, yeah, I mean, that's like, three breakups, four road trips.
Oh man, yeah.
This is a record that's like, yeah, it started everything. And obviously I'm an acoustic guitar player, and
Mhm.
so putting that as the front man,
Yeah.
in like a rock. It was just
It's like really
so
power
incredible. Yeah,
laden.
it's just
Yeah.
like honestly that was something that totally changed my musical world.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for the Dave Matthews Band and that record and the other two that came right after it, I probably wouldn't be pursuing music
Okay.
as passionately as I am now. So
Can
yeah.
you give us your best Dave Matthews impression? Just, but you have to sing the Trippin' Billies. The hook for
I got my
it.
guitar right out
Okay.
just for this scenario. Oh,
Okay.
the Trippin' Billies, is that
Oh,
your
you can
song?
do no. Yeah, that's the one. Whenever I do my Dave Matthews impression, I sing
Right? No, I
that.
he wakes up in the morning, starts his teeth bite to eat, and he's rolling. Right? That's all I'm giving you. Love you,
Oh
Dave.
man, nice, nice. Yeah, much love out to Dave Matthews, man. It's a great band. Well, Ari, thank you so much for that. For that awesome impression there, and also an excellent interview. Lots of great information for do-it-yourself musicians and independent artists to really just start kicking ass with their careers. So thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, man.
See you later.
And that wraps up this week's episode of Seeds of Music. We had on the show Ari Herstand. I just want to thank Ari for coming on the show and sharing his awesome do-it-yourself musician knowledge that is so applicable, because here's a guy who's actually doing it and making all of his income from music. So make sure to check out aristake.com. Check out the links below. Absorb all his information and sign up to his email newsletter if you want to get updates on his posts. Next, sign up for our email newsletter at Seeds of Music if you want to stay up to date with all the latest interviews that come onto the show, and also iTunes. If you haven't signed up for the podcast, if you like to listen to, if you've never listened to a podcast before, basically it's just audio that's released on, as a show on a specific date, once a week or whatever. But what I do is I make an audio only version of the show and I upload it to a podcast on iTunes called Seeds of Music. Rise above the noise and market your music. So just go to the iTunes store. You'll need an account, search for it for the show, and click subscribe, and you'll get all the episodes downloaded straight to you. And also make sure to leave a rating and a review to help the show rank higher. Next, if you like this interview, feel like you got something useful out of it, which I hope you did, just click that share button below, click that like button. We have social media buttons at the top and bottom of the post on the Seeds of Music page. Just click those and share it with everyone that you know. And the last thing, comment on the video. We have a comment box at the bottom of the page. Just go down there and tell us about what was the greatest thing you learned from the interview and how you apply what you've learned to your music career. And who would you like to see interviewed next? If that person is you, just send me an email to kyle.seedsofmusic@gmail.com. I answer every freaking email because I'm just crazy like that. And remember, we are the future of music.